Well, 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 welcome back, audience. You've joined us for another high impact, energized, King Arthur Pendragon 5.2, the Great Pendragon Campaign, episode 43. I'm a professional, I guess. Hey, Glimo, thanks for that 78-month resub. 6.5 years. Yeah, buddy.
We're in deep.
We've been doing this for too long, huh? Jesus. I've been a broadcaster for 10 years, all right? Yeah. Anyway, instead of talking about how the old days were better, we're going to play King Arthur Pendragon, a game about how the old days were better. Everything was easier and more honorable and less complicated than modern life. Is there anything in particular you all want to do before the winter feast? With the knowledge that I have solo scenarios, or in some cases, I shall call them trials. I don't mean that in a legal sense, for you to overcome before we go to the winter feast. I just need to know if anyone has plots or plans or anything like that you've thought of.
No, not for me.
All right, cool. Glimo, you have a double feature. You have 2 plots and plans coming your way, 2 trials. So we're going to start with you, then rotate around the clock, then come back to you.
Science fiction double feature.
Your first trial is a series of political and philosophical discussions that are happening. As you know, you are the spy master, or whatever that passes for a knight. I mean, spying is unknightly, but intrigue is very knightly. And the difference between those two is up to each individual noble to determine. But there is a question about how the Baron of the Northern March is spending his money. So Baron Huil, of course, has been spending an incredible amount of money acquiring new estates, building castles along the northern line, and then setting up logging camps in... Oh my goodness. All right, Zoom chat. Okay, James. I stopped popping the chat out and moving it aside because we stopped using it, but lately everyone's been putting snarky little messages in there.
Sorry, I didn't have Twitch chat open because I've got too many other windows open.
Okay. Listen, you can put messages there. I just need to know that you're going to do it so that they don't pop up on stream, because who knows what crazy shit we're going to say.
Yeah, look, I didn't want to interrupt the flow by
it's
posting.
It's too late. We've already I interrupted my own flow, which happens far too often. Honestly,
in the future, I'll just interrupt the flow naturally. If it's going to happen anyway, I may as well just...
Yeah, Spoon has also interrupted the flow with the 53-month resub through Twitch Prime. The Baron has set up logging camps along the western forest, past Stonehenge and such. The legality of that is in contest. He doesn't own those forests, but the person who owns those forests is dead because they're the king. And so no one can argue with it. Now, if a new king comes back, he could be in a lot of trouble, or maybe not. But a huge investment has gone into building these new logging camps, which are starting, because it's been almost 5 years now, they're starting to turn into villages themselves and becoming permanent. The de-stumping effort takes an enormous amount of man and horse and oxen and whatever draft animals they can find to get rid of the stumps and then begin the replanting process. And in some cases, there are rumors that process is being skipped. The stumps are just being left. Nothing is being regrown, and the lumberjacks and such are moving on. With that said, there is a question which learned scholars across the county have been putting out about the way that he pays people. Sometimes people show up to work late but receive the same payment as a full day worker. And those who work the entire day are upset by that and have been petitioning for various legal experts and nobles of the county to weigh in on this. Essentially, like, people are going to their mayors and saying, hey, this is a problem. These lazy people who slept in shouldn't be getting paid the same as people who work the whole day that they were supposed to work. And so you, as a respected noble and a member of the Countess's court, are being asked to weigh in. Now, you don't have to say anything, but what you do say may be not only legally binding, but set precedent, because this is how Britain works.
Jurisprudence.
This jurist my diction crap. Is that a Matrix reference?
It is. You cramming up your ass.
James would know. He was there when those lines were said.
No,
He was there when the one Matrix was forged in the fires of Mount Doom. Well, Kyned, do you have anything to say back about this unusual situation in regards to repayments?
So who specifically is asking me this?
I don't think there's any one person. It's essentially the entire court is sending messages to each other.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, you've joined the medieval version of a group chat, and you're getting messenger pigeons and runners from across the county who are weighing in with you and saying, what do you think?
Okay.
I know what I think, but before I say what I think, what do you think about this?
It's not the individual peasantry or the...
Yes,
or
no, the individual peasantry have petitioned their mayors, who have petitioned their lords, who have petitioned the court at general.
Okay.
No, individual peasants aren't showing up across the entire county.
I figured it wasn't the peasantry, but if it was the actual mayors, then I, my response would be different. But if this is within the court, then Kyned won't feel bad about speaking up. So as someone who was originally pagan, Kyned looks down on laziness, and so, much like the Protestants and the method, he feels that through hard work is the way that you show yourself to your higher ups and your gods. And so he will say that people who are freeboating shouldn't be paid in the same way as people who are working. That working is godly.
It's interesting that you say that working is godly. So we're gonna make a roll in a second, but what I'm asking you to roll is based on the response that you get. Mm-hmm. So far, no one has come out and directly said anything of anyone else's response that's like a direct contradiction or argumentation. However, you do receive a response that is titled "An Argument by the Physician Quintus of Ilchin" in response to a statement by Sir Kyned. So it's basically a direct call-out slam on you. Like the headlines in the papers the next morning would read, Kyned
in my
slam!
diss track.
Yeah. And so it says, in my dissent as a good Christian man, I must point out that this matches the parable of the vineyard workers that one might find in the gospel according to Matthew. It is not for us to decide the worth that a man might be paid. Instead, the one who is doing the paying might make that consideration. In the same way that a man who turns to Jesus Christ on his deathbed receives the kingdom of heaven just as much as one who was christened at birth. Therefore, I must refute in entirety your argument that this is a godly act. Indeed, it is in contravention of God's will, for it has been written in the Bible. Yours truly, the physician, Quintus of Ilchin. Now, I would like you to make a roll. What's the opposite of worldly? Spiritual?
Spiritual.
Yes. I'd like you to make a spiritual roll.
Fail.
I'd like you to make a worldly roll.
Also fail.
He is
Back
like us. He is like us. He is like us.
Back in the day, worldly was called something different, right? Worldly spirit. This is the one that always throws me off because worldly spiritual wasn't called worldly spiritual.
Yeah, it had a different name.
It was like
That's why it
pious
always,
and something else.
Yeah, it always takes me a second to remember what it's actually called nowadays. But yeah, so you are free to respond how you would like. You are not drawn divinely or in a rage to respond in any direction to this. You are just completely blasé about it. You have, however, been directly called out.
I think he would say something like, I know that I am new to your faith, but what I have learned in my brief time is that there is, you know what, that there is godliness in hard work. Perhaps you've never done a hard day's work, and that's why you don't find it godly.
Right. So just noting here that you've started a feud with Quintus of Ilchin.
They're beefing.
Now,
They got beef.
He's not a nobleman, to be clear. He's not a lord of any kind. Quintus of Ilchin is sort of a newcomer who is a former Roman army surgeon who has retired to these lands. The Western Roman Empire has fallen apart. Sorry, the Western Roman administrative area has fallen apart. And like all traditional hegemonic empires, even as they're falling apart, they still think they own everything. And so this guy's like, I'm going to retire to Britain, I guess. I can do that because Britain is our colony. This is a real thing that really happened. So he just retired to Britain. Of course, there's no like passport service or anyone to stop him at the border, I guess, being the coastline. And he settled on the Ilchin River, and now he's called Quintus of Ilchin. He settled himself down in the last 2 years and has become a prominent healer and is well known for his admonishments that more people need to balance their humors. He is wealthy, he's not noble, and you have now started a beef with him, for sure. Possibly a rat beef. I'm not sure.
Is the Ilchin River, is that the one that goes up through
yes,
that
directly
dump?
east of your lands, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, and it passes right by that huge terrible ruin that never will be important.
You're talking about Camelot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It
The
was a silly
Camelot
place.
Forest, which isn't currently called the Camelot Forest because there isn't a Camelot yet.
Sure.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Cool. Feud with Quintus of Ilchin. We are now passing on to Kendric. So Kendric, this scene takes place in late fall as you are riding along your lands. You find yourself getting off your horse and walking at the edge of the forests that make up the border of Silchester and County. Not Sarum. Hold on. I'll think of the name.
Salisbury.
Not Saruman. Salisbury. Thank you. I've been playing too much Return to Moria today, and I got Saruman on the brain.
Late is the hour.
Yeah. Well, I just got to the part where Saruman's orcs attack, and I'm like, yes, the white hand, sick. This is gonna be awesome. I love being attacked by Saruman. It's my favorite, top 5. Yeah, you are riding along the border, and you find yourself walking into just like a copse of trees. In the center, there is a clearing, and all of a sudden, it is like you are at the center point of a tornado. The trees in every direction around you are all bending slightly clockwise as the wind swirls around you, and you hear a strange and discordant sound of flutes and other wind instruments playing. As you look around with your hair whipping around you, suddenly you find that there is a woman standing quite close to you behind you in the clearing. She is wearing a strange dress that is almost like a quilted, padded doublet, perhaps closer to armor than a simple dress, with the symbol of a rampant dragon on it with a green tongue. And her hair itself is also a strange shade of green, which hangs in 2 locks beside her head. And she stares at you for some time until you make a response.
My lady, what are you doing out here?
I have come.
For what purpose?
It is for you.
You have come for me?
Too long you have allowed your faith to sit by the wayside. It has been decided that I should come and instruct you.
Very well.
The people of these lands have forgotten their druid ancestors. The blood of Kimrics and Celts flows through all of these people. And yet, we look upon you, Icon, Kendric, and yet you marry a Christian. Your children are raised almost in a Christian way. Your companions are all Christians. You seek out Christian ceremonies. This is not the way that a knight should act, or at least not a knight as is remembered of the old ways. You have forgotten the ancient chivalric code of the old times, when the fairies and those of magic from the reverse side of the world first gave knighthood to the people of these isles. There are fellows among you who practice, and yet you avoid them. You do not seek out their companionship. You do not bring yourself to their ceremonies. You lack piety in the most basic of understandings of our religion. Yes, you're getting pagan-splained. Yes, thank you. Therefore, we charge you on a gios to recover the 7 ancient tenets of the old ways.
I will accept this chaos and find the value in bringing back the old ways so that they are not snuffed out by this new faith.
As you finish speaking, the wind blows over your hair, and as briefly you lose sight of her, she's gone, like any number of people named Jack or John who have been secret agents in the last 25 years, or police investigators on the run from the government but secretly serving the government, or something like that. Yeah. Oh, Batman. Yes, Batman, of course.
Batman.
As the wind passes, she is gone. And the wind dies down and you are alone in this clearing. Where she once stood, there is now a stone plinth upon which is carved a rampant dragon and the names Oberon and Titania.
And so do I have a feeling that this was Titania?
Doesn't seem like it, actually.
Okay.
You
So this
you
was
addressed her
someone
as
else.
lady, and she didn't correct you. And if you addressed a queen with lady, that would probably
Yeah,
be...
she would have.
She
She would have been
probably
like,
was one of the... Let's make a fairy lore roll,
sure.
actually.
Let's make a fairy lore
Let's
roll.
make a fairy lore roll.
Let's see here.
Based on your fairy lore roll, I'm just gonna go ahead and say you're gonna fail it. She seems like a crazy old witch who lives in the woods.
Now, hang on. Yeah, I failed.
Yeah, 17. Yeah.
But it was definitely so I don't know who it was, but it was definitely a supernatural occurrence.
Could have been. Or you could be drunk or something. You know, weird
Yeah.
stuff happens all the time, though. Supernatural stuff.
Sure.
Gwgan. This also takes place in the late fall for you as well. It's starting to get cold around Sarum. The castle finds itself even more in need of space as more and more, I don't want to say foreigners, but people in need of a place to stay for the winter. People like itinerant farmers, travelers, but also the poor or those who've recently suffered great loss go to a place where they might be taken care of. There are not nearly enough city guardsmen and knights and knight commanders, knight orders, watchmen. There are simply not enough people to watch the city as they once were because they died. They're all dead. So you, as part of your persona of showing up at the castle to flirt with the Countess, find yourself responsible for occasionally riding out into the city and not necessarily dispensing of justice, but just showing a presence in the marketplaces and the alleyways, making sure people know that knights are about, people of justice and honor. I believe your current squire is Neres, correct?
Sounds right, yes. Let me look at my
Yes.
sheet.
So as the two of you are basically walking through the area, plenty of people show you, I don't want to say
No,
obsequious.
I have Padraig as my current squire.
Padraig? I don't nearly have that written down. Oh, but yes, I do. It's at the bottom. Squire Padraig.
Yep.
Padraig is traveling with you through walking the markets, essentially. And they noticed an old woman who is basically like at the edge of an alleyway. She looks like she's freezing cold. She's probably like 50 plus, missing quite a few teeth and at least one finger. She's like heavily bundled up, but like the cloths are all old and like thin and ratty. It's clear that this clothing was not made for her. Someone gave her their old stuff, essentially. And she's wearing several layers of it. She is quietly sobbing, and it has attracted the attention of your squire, who sort of gestures you to come over.
Oh, come over.
The woman is explaining the situation to Padraig, and she says, "Oh, well, you have to understand that all I have of my late husband was an oil painting that was taken before he rode off to war. It was to be a great victory of the king. He managed to fight back against the invaders, and then so many died that night. A terrible feast. I'm sure you must know of it. My husband, he was killed in the retreat from that area. There were many bandits on the road back home. He never made it here. This is all I had to remember him by, and it was stolen from me. There are dark men of strong arms and little courage. They wander about the marketplace at all times of day. They take whatever they want."
Good wife, I only heard part of your tale. Are you saying that bandits have taken a painting that reminds you of your late husband?
Yes, it's a very good likeness of him. I have no idea why they might take such a painting. Perhaps they mean to sell it. Its value is only to me. But this is not the first thing they've taken from me, but this is the only one that truly matters.
And so where is this taking place? Is this on my lands, or is this
Sarum, outside Sarum Castle.
Sarum, okay.
Yes.
All right, nice, okay. And these men, you say, were in the markets nearby?
So Padraig sort of nods and gestures for you to walk with them. and is explaining along the way that, like, this isn't the first report of this he's gotten. As you're walking, you can hear the sound.
So if we're leaving the woman,
yes,
like, yeah, along with, you know, the plan to get her, I will give her something for charity now as well. So I will give her. Let me open up my monies. I will give her 2 shillings.
What a godly man. Very pious of you. Charity for the old and the infirm. You sort of recognize a voice cutting its way over the crowd. I would like you to make a recognize roll as a result. Okay. It jogs your memory. You've heard it before.
No, it does
16
not.
on a 3. You don't recognize the speaker until you see them, so I'm not going to tell you who it is until you arrive.
Okay.
There is a wall of people who've made a circle, and the 2 of you are pushing your way through it to see what the disturbance is. You hear the sound of someone movie style pulling a sword from a sheath, and it makes that perfect swing noise. You all know what I'm talking about. The kind that doesn't really happen in real life. And you hear someone say quite loudly, like, "It would seem, for these good people here, that the 7 of you have taken something that does not belong to you. And I suspect you have taken many things that do not belong to you. But that right there, my good man, I must ask you to return onto my person immediately." And as Padraig, like, pushes people out of the way, you see Squire Galen, who is a companion of a certain king of Somerset, who you recently saw at the tournament, has drawn a sword on, like, 7 men with sticks who are fat with coin, walking around. You could see that they've kicked over, like, a merchant's stall and are, like, taking some of his winter vegetables, or, like, late fall vegetables, and are eating them, like, openly in the market right before them. Galen has a strange-looking short sword out. Does Gwgan have a lot of sword knowledge? Like, is he a sword nerd in the way that someone will be like, you know what I like? An AK-47U. Sorry, 74U.
I don't think that Gwgan is really, like, he knows how to use a sword, but he's not interested in, like, the history of swords or that sort of thing. So
the sword looks peculiar, but you don't recognize anything in particular special about it. He seems to be ready to throw down with these men.
I'm prepared to see how this plays out and not, I just dropped on the floor, and not intervene, unless, he's still an armed and trained squire.
Yes.
And these are still just, you know, peasant ruffians. I'm sort of ready to step in, but I want to see. I'll allow it.
Okay.
To, you know,
now let's be clear. Galen, yeah. I said Squire. Esquire. Galen is not a knight. They don't have knighthoods where he comes from in the same traditionally chivalrous way. He was introduced to you as a seeker of justice and that sort of thing. He is whatever passes for that in the magic lands. So he enters into a series of fights where he's fighting the 7 guys with, like, wooden sticks and clubs, essentially, and he's beating all their asses really easily. It's clear that even though he's not wearing armor, he's just, like, a really good short swordsman. And his technique is very strange to you. Like, he does not fight like a knight. There's not a lot of, like, the way he's fighting does not involve someone wearing a lot of armor. He's being extremely defensive with his sword because he doesn't have a shield. But he does soundly beat 6 of them, and then has his sword to the leader and is like, I will require you to turn over the objects which you have taken at this moment. And the leader is, like, down in a pile of vegetables, and he says, oh yeah? Well, I've got friends. And you can see from out of the crowd, men are showing up. These men are wearing, like, padded leather armor that one would use for hunting, and are pulling out, like, long swords from beneath, like, robes and such, like, pulling out dangerous weapons.
All right. I think at this point I'll draw my sword, and I'll encourage Padraig to do the same as well. So step in, try to draw their attention.
Okay. So the man on the ground goes, I've got friends. Padraig, like, goes out 100%. What was it from The Knight's Tale? Was it Joffrey of Chaucer? He's like,
Yeah, Chaucer,
and
yeah.
so does he. As Pedrick presents Gwgan arriving, you're showing up in like a knightly outfit, pulling out your longsword, which I assume is a pretty solid looking sword. And all of a sudden the situation is turned from like, ooh, there's like one guy fighting like 7 guys to like, oh no, he's getting ambushed. And now it's like, oh, the knights have arrived. Like, it's the drama for these peasants has hit like 1,000,000%. This is the most exciting thing that's happened to them all month.
I'm doing this to try and de-escalate. Like I'm trying to sort of, you know, like make it clear that this is not a good idea for them to pursue this course of action. Rather, I'm not looking for a fight. I'm looking to dissuade a fight.
There's not like an intimidation skill. Is there something we can use?
I mean, I suppose I could try oratory if I sort of, you know, tell them to
opponent roll. I feel like I don't know that just is appropriate. I think orate is a good one. Let's go for that.
Okay. All right.
A failure is a non-de-escalation, to be clear.
That's crit.
Wow. Okay. All right. So I want you to imagine that the camera is following one of the men coming out of the crowd with his sword. Like, he's pulling his hood down. He's like, let's kick this like semi-knight guy's ass. He's like pulling his sword out. He's like, yeah, I'm going to ambush this fool from behind. Then you and Pendrick show up and he's like, woo, sword goes back in, hood goes back up, disappear into the crowd, reverse Assassin's Creed people in front of me as I walk backward.
He Abe Simpsons it. Yeah. He comes in, puts his hat on the rack, circles, takes his hat back.
Or the Homer in the bushes, you know,
yes.
back into the bush.
Yeah.
That leaves Galen with his sword on the man who is down. You can clearly see that one of the objects that this man has like had fall out of his array of goods that he's stolen is in fact the oil painting, which has landed on a bag just ever so perfectly that it doesn't get in the mud. And Galen like does a flourish, sheathes his sword, and like presents you with a bow. Pedrick like goes after the man and is like, "That's right, brigands, go, run, flee!" As Galen comes over to talk to you. My apologies, Sir Knight. I did not mean to interfere in the matters of justice for these people, but I saw something unjust happening and needed to act.
No, your actions were well thought out and well executed. Okay. Galen, wasn't it?
Yes. You are Sir Gwgan, the poet.
That's it. Yes, of Shrewton. I cannot fault anything you did here today, and you have helped recover stolen goods, and some of which I was looking for on behalf of the peasants, and so
I was also seeking some goods. I suggest we divvy up his ill-gotten goods.
What brings you to Sarum?
Well, I am a seeker of justice, and I must ask for your judgment in this matter. What I did here was just, but I am not ordained by any law of this land. I can not say that my actions were justice unless you give me leave that it be so. And if it is not so, then I must turn myself in for whatever crime I have committed here in drawing a sword in daylight in public.
I saw no crime. I saw a man defending. These men had already roughed people up. Did he kill any, or was he just was he just like injuring them? Okay, no. Yeah. You've cut their egos more than anything else.
Yes, their legs out from under them.
They'll think twice about threatening these people again. So I find no fault in your action and would not suggest that anything you did was unjust.
I thank you for your wise decision. I have found that the wisdom of Somerset does not extend to all lands. But it is wrong for the strong to prey upon the weak. Just because you have a big arm does not mean that you might use it to subjugate others. Are you not in agreement, sir?
I agree, sir. I did not draw my sword looking to start a fight. I drew my sword looking to end a fight.
He gives you a curt nod and then gestures for the two of you to go over to the gang leader.
That's right.
Who's like, is turning apocalyptic red, and, you know, like, his nose is running, he's crying. You know, everyone around here who knows that this guy's a big shot is now watching him cry to himself, having his men get their asses beat. And all of the stuff that was stolen from them is being returned.
Are we too early for pillory as a punishment?
I don't think so. I mean, with King Arthur Pendragon, you know what I mean? Like, plate armor shows up 400 years early, sort of deal.
Yeah.
You know.
So I think that I mean, I don't know. I'm a knight, and I'm also the seneschal of Salisbury. So I don't know whether I do have the authority to.
I think so. I mean, all knights have. Yes, as part of your oath, all knights not only have the ability but the responsibility to execute anything but the king's justice for capital offenses. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think in this case, I would drag this man to the square and put him in pillory.
Wow, someone goes, wow, this is the first time I've ever seen this. What a great punishment. We should throw rotten vegetables at him. The vegetables he crushed earlier. And so it was that for all time they would be known as Johns. Now there's a movie reference.
Men in tights.
Indeed.
Big tights.
Galen offers to buy you a drink.
I'm happy to stay for a drink.
Okay. And the two of you spend the next few minutes having a drink at like an inn or some such, and just discussing the matters of justice and of the county. Unless there's anything else you wish to speak to Galen about.
I don't think so. I mean, I'll ask him how fares his lord.
Of course. Well, the king, of course, is doing quite well. Did you know that he's the son of the grandson, nephew? There's a whole line of succession, bastardization, but his great-grandfather or nebulous other relative who gifted you the axe is doing quite well and has inquired about you. And just like really unsubtle reminders that the King of Somerset is like hundreds of years old. That he's truly ancient. Kyned.
Yes.
We come back to the second trial for you. You have received 2 letters. They have basically the same purpose. So these are 2 people who've already communicated with each other and wish to bring you in on a scheme that they are executing. The first is from Sir Falbred de Havilard of Silchester, who addresses you to that he is something like the Spymaster of Silchester. I think that, Glimo, as a player, you already know that the Duke of Silchester doesn't need a Spymaster. He is his own Spymaster and executes his plots with execution. And that he was essentially also Uther's Spymaster. So he doesn't need a Spymaster. He still has one because he's busy duking. And that person is Sir Falbred de Havilard. And the other person does not give their name, but lists himself as an agent of the Marquis Risterd Chirac of Pomertain.
Marquis.
Yep, I'm gonna send both of the names to you. Don't worry about that one.
Thank you. Falbred de Havilard, I spelled wrong, but got close enough.
Sure.
Thank you.
Both of these men wish to bring you in on a plot. They have indicated that King Lot of Lothian is dispatching different agents from Orkney. He's calling himself the Protector of Albion. And because he's married to the oldest daughter of the Pendragon line, he should, of course, be considered to be the de facto king of Britain. But as part of his magnificent grace, he will instead be protector of the island of Albion. Now, the island's not called Albion unless you're from the north, in what we're going to eventually call Scotland. They call it Albion. So this is really kind of a plan to upset local politics and flip things around. if such an agent makes it to the Countess and presents this offer, things become difficult. If she refuses, technically he can press claims. I mean, it's a long travel to get from Orkney lands all the way down. There's a lot of land you have to get through from there. But it's intrigue. It opens up different plots, different excuses, alliances, assassinations, if a messenger from the king makes it to her. These two gentlemen fear that their lands will also be visited by such messengers and are essentially forming an agreement to have their networks assassinate these men on the way to the courts, and would like to know that you are equally involved and would like to lend your knowledge and resources to their networks. They have identified the agent coming to your Countess, and the path that they'll be taking down the King's Road, when they roughly believe. So he is going to be stopped in the winter around Borton. And so if you assassinate him before the spring, you can eliminate this threat before it ever arrives. This is a pretty frank and open discussion of murder of what is essentially a foreign noble's agents. But they aren't sending diplomats. They're sending, messengers. Not quite the same thing. That's right, Glimo. Here's the trial I give to you, the second trial.
Can I roll intrigue to decide the veracity of this, that it really is coming from?
I don't think you need to roll intrigue for that.
Okay.
I think these names are not unknown to you and your network of agents. Now, are they pulling an intrigue on you? That you can roll intrigue for, but their bona fides are solid for you.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I would like to see if I'm being
Bamboozled.
Sure. That's a success.
That's a pretty good success. A 6 on a 16. You're not being bamboozled. They're not tricking you, but it is curious that they want you to be the one that kicks off the assassination war. You know what I mean? Like, their cause is as legitimate as it could be. It would be good that this person doesn't reach the Countess, but that's also the Countess's political war to fight on her own, and these guys are essentially taking that from her by having you kill this person. It's also an act of war to kill a messenger like this, essentially. And yeah, I think the term stalking horse might apply here. They want you to go first so that they see how bad it is, so that when they do it, it's just precedent, essentially. It's not that they have ill intentions for you. It's just that they have intentions for you.
Right.
Now, these are both powerful spy masters. Getting in on their good sides could expand your reach and knowledge. Refusing them outright could earn their ire. But this is not a particularly honorable act. Yes, Glimo. Welcome to my murder puzzle. You don't have to solve this right now because we're at the break if you'd like time, if you don't have an immediate answer. The great thing is you don't even need it until after we're done winter economics.
I was going to say, this is dangerous enough of a game that Kyned would not unilaterally make this decision on his own. He would want to talk to the Countess privately, either during the winter feast or like the night before to
Perfect.
make sure there was no one listening.
Got a great scene at the winter feast coming up then.
Perfect.
Friends, we'll be back in about 5 minutes for the second third of this episode, which is like a half, but slightly shorter. Welcome back to the middle part. There are several attendees at the Christmas court who make themselves known. Prince Kendric of Wessex shows up. He is not exactly Christian, but is definitely willing to celebrate a Yule festival with his favorite court. And there are rumors that, the Wessexians are still moving in sort of deal. He prefers the more culturally settled and richer court of the established neighbors that he has, rather than staying at home with his dad in a hovel, essentially, as a prince. And as you know, he loves perfumes and women. His two favorite things. Also in attendance is physician Quintus of Ilchen and Sir Falbred de Havilard of Silchester, who is introduced as a Knight of Silchester. When it becomes significant to you, Kendric, you receive a messenger pigeon, and the Countess simultaneously receives a messenger owl. When you want that read is on the table, and all of the usual cast of characters, including Sir Leo, who still isn't technically the sheriff of the local lands. He's still dispensing justice, but he hasn't formally accepted the title. It's been some time since he's been seen in court regularly, but he's here now for Christmas. Are there any plots, plans, or scenes that we'd like to see first?
AP, where is Pomatane?
So, Pomatane is what is commonly known as the Isle of Man. It is a small one county, one duchy, one kingdom island off the west coast of Scotland.
Excellent.
I think in this time period it only has like 5,000 people on it, so yeah, it's pretty small.
Okay. I'd happily do my scene first with Countess Ellen if you all don't have.
No, you go for it.
Countess Ellen finishes opening the ceremony with a toast that is extremely neutral. She toasts confusion to the enemies of Salisbury, which is a very safe toast because it doesn't technically name who the enemies of Salisbury are. It should be noted, however, that the Saxons to the east are all suffering confusion because they're all on the verge of fighting each other over who will be the Bretwalda of England. So while it doesn't technically say that the Saxons are the enemy, it's understood among the good British people here that she's basically saying, fuck them, it's good for us that bad things happen to them. After that toast is completed, confusion to our enemies, everyone echoes it, and then she dismisses herself to have a quick word with her trusted advisor, Sir Kyned. The two of you meet in a closed room for a hushed conversation with her, where she has a dramatic 3/4 turn profile towards the camera.
Countess?
Sir Kyned, I expect that you are not here to talk about Order of the Axe business. Then you must be here to speak about something in your travails as a spy master.
Indeed. I have been approached by the spy master of Dugolfius, as well as our friends in Pomatrain. Apparently, King Lot is going to try to claim that he is King of Britain, but willing to settle for the title of protector of the Albrain, and is going to send messengers to our court asking for you to acknowledge this.
That is something of a problem. It is
The-
understood by all the nobles of the land that we should not allow a foreign monarch domination over any of our disparate people.
Orpheus has sussed out the path that the messenger is going to take. I can ensure that message never arrives here, but I felt doing it without consulting you would be overstepping my boundaries.
She does a dramatic turn to fully turn towards you. It says, make sure the message or the messenger does not arrive.
Splitting hairs at this point.
You put me in a difficult position.
The message would never arrive. And Orpheus and Pomatrain are going to take similar steps to ensure messages never reach their court either. But apparently they're coming here first.
Not only is this not strictly an honorable act, Sir Kyned, I would be hard-pressed to say it is a chivalrous one. Do you agree?
I do.
And yet you still counsel for it.
I say that I am glad that my station is so low that I wouldn't have to deal with the repercussions should someone claim the throne. I am your servant. You have done wonders for myself and my family. I'm happy to make sure that you are not put in this position, and I will also, should anything happen, disavow that we ever had this conversation, and it was just your rogue spy master who took too many liberties.
Sir Kyned, I would have you act in this manner as you would, without direction from me. But you do yourself a disservice, sir. You are easily accounted for as one of the top 15 knights of my realm and an important member of my court.
Thank you for saying so, my lady.
When the youth make wood blocks upon which they place their top favorite knights and then throw the wood blocks down on top of each other in order to have the strongest wood block come out on top, yours is a powerful wood block.
Only because I serve a powerful lord and lady.
All right, well, there's no need for such ridiculous flattery. I do have a festival to attend, and I'm sure I'll be getting quite a few compliments along those lines tonight. Act as you see fit in this manner, Sir Kyned. I am loath to use you in this way, but it must be done.
As you say, my lady.
Some things are better left unsaid. Both this
Indeed.
conversation and the message that this messenger would deliver.
Indeed.
Okay. We cut back. Gwgan, Kendric, any scenes or plots from the two of you?
Sir Kendric is going to go talk to Dame Titania.
Very well. Now, as you're leaving, your messenger pigeon is still sitting on your shoulder.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yes.
I'll do that first, and then I'll go talk to Dame Titania.
So this is a somewhat new development. You've heard that Duke Ulfius has taken to using messenger birds to deliver messages. It's had mixed results. It's apparently way more popular in the Eastern Roman administrative area to use birds to deliver. I'm sending you the message, and whether you want to read that out loud to the audience is up to you.
Okay. Yeah. This letter has been dictated by Duke Ulfius of Silchester and is meant for the Countess Ellen and Sir Kendric. Copies have been provided to both individuals to inform them of my investiture of lands parallel along the forests and borders of my newest knight, Sir Ewald the Dyer. You may notice by the manner of his unusual name that he is not Kymric. He is not of Kymric descent, nor is he even a Saxon, but a recently arrived Anglo warrior. On the roads from London to my central seat, he performed 3 good deeds wherein he captured criminals and presented them for justice. I find myself in need of such men who will offer themselves to the right cause of righteousness itself. I have overseen his conversion to Christianity and personally knighted him. I would not want his investiture in the seat to come as a surprise to either of you. It should be noted that in my lands, and perhaps in your own, there is a rise of criminal elements which must be dealt with. It is my hope that this document finds you in good health, good fortune upon you and your family. Go with God, Duke Ulfius, Duke of Silchester, etc., etc. Sent from my iDesk via messenger pigeon.
Now, criminal elements, the C and the E are both capitalized, and it is underlined.
Okay.
In the way that in ancient treaties one might say, criminal elements. Like that.
Interesting. So this is essentially
your new neighbor.
Yeah, along the border with Silchester.
Yes. But I tried to make it sound as pompous and difficult to understand as possible.
Yep.
You head over to speak to Titania and her boys.
I do. Hello, Dame Titania.
Titania is already deep into the drink, as are her companions. She seems to have gathered several new knights and even squires to her cause here, in the manner of drinking and cavorting and rabble-rousing. They are not enjoying this feast in what might strictly be considered a Christian way, but they are definitely enjoying it nonetheless.
Kendric will have a drink with them.
Okay.
And then he'll sit down with Titania and start to tell her about his vision.
In the background, Titania's cohort of knights and squires. The squires are speaking quite frankly with the knights, honestly, in a way that you were not raised to do so. And no one seems particularly upset about this. They are all offering boasts of the accomplishments that they have had this year to each other, trying to outdo each other with the most ridiculous, kill from horseback or the strongest man defeated. And all of them are discussing about how popular it suddenly is to take a giant oar from a riverboat, stand in the middle of a river crossing, and block people from crossing for tax payment. It's almost become a form of viral youth thing for squires to do that. It's just seen as good training for a squire to have to carry an ultra heavy, super long, 14-foot long wooden paddle and then sit on a hard wooden bench with water up to your boots in the middle of the river and stop people for tax payments, where you might see one person every 2 or 3 days, sort of deal. It's good training,
Yeah. I will inform them that I was there for the first iteration of that. The first Jeetering.
They ask you who that was. What honorable knight began the process?
His name was Sir Jeter.
Sir Jeter. Incredible. While while those conversations happen in the background and people talk about how they want to jeet on each other real quick, and just go outside, start jeeting in the river. I want to jeet that river so badly. Once I jeet, I'll prove myself to all of the knights. You can't tell me this isn't a legitimate evolution of language, considering
Sure.
I have had to put up with about 10 years of people saying they yeeted something
Yeah.
over a mountain. Titania is smiling as she turns to look at you. And honestly, at this point, if this was Shadowrun, there would be little hearts appearing right now as she gives you an incredibly reckless, not romantic smile, but more like a smolder that indicates that she remembers the private time the two of you shared once.
Sure.
That's,
Yeah.
again, in the religion the two of you share, it's totally normal. And in fact, expected to be, I don't want to say fertile, but fucking around.
Yeah. I was riding in my lands this fall, and I came upon a copse of trees where I was trapped, perhaps. I'm not quite sure, but there was a whirlwind that bent the trees around me, and a woman appeared wearing some form of gambeson or doublet with a green or a red dragon with a green tongue on it, and she charged me with a geas to discover the 7 tenets of our religion.
Well, there are more than 7 tenets to our religion. Perhaps you mean the 7 tenets of the old codes of knighthood that predate chivalry. Is that what you mean?
That is what I mean. The 7 tenets of the old ways.
Yes, her nose starts bleeding. She says, "You are so quick to take on charges of this manner, to take up service from the Fairy King, this discovery of ancient knighthood. Does it matter to you, truly? Does it matter, or is it simply that someone asked you to do it?"
Just to discover the ancient tenets of knighthood?
Yes.
Yes, it would be very impressive.
She shrugs her shoulders and says, "It was difficult enough to become a knight by the Christian way. It is hard to say that an older form of knighthood has significance in this day. Not to me, at least. Perhaps to others. But to me, I make no distinction between it. A knight is a knight. You either have the position or you do not. You are a man thinking too deep thoughts."
Perhaps. But I will take up this geas nonetheless. And I will find these 7 tenets.
Sounds like you're going to have to...
I may just be a knight to you. But to myself, to others perhaps, maybe there is more.
All right. She gives you a smile, elbows on the table, and takes another sip of her drink while smoldering at you and says, "It sounds as if you're going to need to go on a multi-year journey across the country, looking for different fellowships, seeking to find what they individually, one by one piece, know of the old code of knighthood.
So it would seem.
And who knows what that code could be, because there's so many historical old codes of knighthood, so you're not going to be able to cheat and guess what it is." Her nose starts bleeding again. "Well, I certainly won't stand in your way, but I can't say that I see a purpose in this. However, if you wish to entertain fellowship, and I don't mean anything more than surface level with that, my sworn knights and I are having fellowship in the next few days, services to celebrate the end of the year and the coming of a new one. It has been some time since you have stood with us, talked of your problems and seen ours, and celebrated with us.
It has been too long. I believe I will attend.
You're a very highly regarded knight. Your leash that the Christians have placed upon you is one of your own design.
That is one way to put it.
All right. She goes to clink glasses with you.
I think Kendric pauses for a moment, as if he's not going to, and then he will clink glasses with her and take a drink.
I think that pause speaks so much. I don't know what it speaks, but it definitely is noticed.
I mean, she just insulted my wife.
Yeah.
She called her a leech.
Leash. She says the
leash
you place upon yourself is one of your own design.
He will just clink glasses with her then. I thought she called her a leech.
No, she's saying you spend too much time with Christians.
I see. That makes more sense.
Yeah, that's the new storyline, is criminals and Christians. It's this crazy new game I'm inventing. We need something to do before the next big story drop, okay? That is for Kendric. Gwgan, you got anything for me before we go back around?
No, I think that probably at the Christmas court, depending on how many people from Salisbury came to Kendrick's tournament, if there's a lot of people here that weren't there.
No, basically everybody of note came.
Okay, no worries. I was going to say, if there wasn't, I would probably do a reading of the poem I wrote here. But
I think they still demand that you perform the poem again. They want to. They want a three-peat. They want you to keep doing it.
Read it.
Yeah.
Read
and they want a retelling of the song of. Oh God, I didn't write it down because I was literally dying as I made it up. But the story of Kyned and what was the name of the guy who died in the basement?
Alric.
Kyned and Alric. The Alric Bandit Bane or whatever. Yeah, they definitely want that performed like 5 times tonight. Like they keep calling Kyned's minstrels out to perform it because they were the first ones that did it, and then they call different minstrel bands out to perform covers of it. You know, where the story changes slightly, and they're like, "Ooh, we like this one a little bit better or a little bit worse." You know what I mean? Yeah. You're live action watching the story of Kyned's legend evolve in real time. I love the idea that the last story is the one they like best, where they describe Kyned as being like 7 feet tall, and Kyned is like literally standing there. Like a really drunk guy goes, "Did you hear? Sir Kyned, 7 feet tall!" Then he passes backwards out on a table.
He towers over you. See, I'm not asking for certain things. I think that's what I'm doing at the Christmas party, is just to, because it was all about creating more tales for the Countess, for us, etc., telling the story about having Rita Chan.
Any other business at this Christmas court?
Kyned will go and see Sir Felbridge.
De Havilard of Silchester, you say? Very well.
Of Silchester.
Do you give him the signal and let him know it's going down? The assassination's in progress?
Yes.
Cool. I'm going to need an intrigue roll from you. I'm going to ask for, if you want to passion this, you got a long shot at now. This is the whole beans. So the intrigue will take place over several months, but this roll will be binding one way or another.
Okay. I'm going to impassion with Loyalty Lord, because Kyned was on the fence about it, but at the very end, when Countess Ellen said, at the end of the day, the message should never reach us.
Yes.
Kyned said, "Oh, okay, yep, nope, I gotta do this for the lady."
That's a solid loyalty lord right there on a 5. Cool.
Okay.
That brings your intrigue to over 20, so there is a possibility of a pretty sick critical here on a 19. That's an 18.
No crit though.
So it's
18
like a
on
crit.
a 20.
Like a crit, but not quite.
Not quite.
Still, it is a successful mission. You organize perhaps the longest range strike of agents to surround the city of Borton in northwest Ridichan, to go off the King's Road in the middle of winter, blend in with the locals. I feel like the minstrels are absolutely involved. Like you insert like a pair of assassins into the band as like porters or something, and then they detach themselves from the minstrel band and murder this guy in like a lord's castle over the winter. They infiltrate and murder the guy, leave, rejoin the minstrel band. Everybody is stuck in place for the winter for the investigation. Nobody gets tagged, and the minstrels make their way back to you in the spring, reporting success.
Excellent.
Let's start the winter phase. Let's do that. Let's do the wintry thing. Cool. So there will be a slight series of alterations here. During the Book of Estates parts, you'll take a -1 on manorial fate roll or whatever it is, the D6 you roll to see how you do during the year, because all of you dispatched an enormous number of levies. On the other hand, you will automatically get a success on not census, but the one that grows your population without census.
Okay.
Because the men of your levies came back with more women than they left with while they were in Ridichan. They had a bunch of time camping outside of Oxford to fuck around, and now their new wives are about to find out what Salisbury's like. It's like that story of what was the battle where Switzerland like sent 49 men to take a castle and they came back with 50? It's like that. So let's see here. You guys have a bunch of rolls to make, of course. Don't let me stop you. Now, if you have any special successes to announce,
I'm doing the manorial stuff first.
I think what we do is the advancement rolls first, right? For stats and such.
First it's if you have buildings that give you you have to roll or check. That's what I was doing. Was adding my extra rolls and checks from my buildings.
Yes.
Yeah, that's I have to do that as well.
So I got an extra set of checks. All right, now I will start doing things. Energetic does not go up. Crit on a roll, it doesn't go up.
Does
not go up. No.
Okay. It always trips me up because it's slightly different than the stock BRP rules. Loyalty Lord does go up.
Ooh. Honest does not go up.
Of a family does go up.
Arbitrary does go up.
Falconry does go up.
Ooh, Loyalty Order of the Axe goes up. Love Gwiona does not, though. Confronting also does not go up. Worry goes up. Recognize goes up. Ooh, romance does not go up.
I didn't check.
Sword does not go up.
Did I?
Lance does not go up. Siege goes up. I believe that is it for me on experience rolls.
I finished mine too.
I have finished mine as well.
Very well.
According to my notes here, aging?
Yeah, that's me. And I think Kyned.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right, old men. You have to check every year whether you fall over and fucking die. Really the most frightening of all choices.
One attribute affected.
3 attributes affected. That is unfortunate.
My man's about to roll 3 1s.
My
oh no!
con goes
the
down.
curse! It's begun!
My size goes down by 1.
Rolling so many 1s, it's going to be a Blood
My
Bowl game.
strength goes down by 1.
Oh, I've got to roll for all our entourage is leveling 2.
Yes, of course, and
Yeah.
wives.
Oh, that's rough. That was real rough. So my damage just dropped to a 5d6.
Oh, yikes. There it is.
And no loss for the 3rd. Bummer.
Remind me of the wife rules.
Skills automatically go up by 1 until they hit 15. Then they only go up on a 6 on a d6 until they get 20. And they only go up on a 20 on a 20.
None of them go up. Okay.
Aging, it's economic circumstances, so I think that's the...
Next thing is to roll all the income, the expected income.
Yes.
All right. So I need to go back over here.
Oh, I forgot to mention, during his visit, Quintus of Ilchin began spreading around this cool new medical philosophy called balancing your humors, which is exactly why he came to the cold, wet island of Britain in order to counteract his physical ailments. In order to solve any medical problems, he definitely prescribes people with passes so that they can go to Mediterranean lands, which are historically hot or dry, in order to solve their problems. Travel will solve your medical problems.
This is not going to be it's not a good year.
Okay, so you said we're going to get -1 on the luck table, or is it
It's
+1 on the
it's
weather?
a D6 roll that gives catastrophes or blessings, whatever that's called.
Yeah, that's the mineral luck.
Yes, your mineral luck will suffer a -1 to the roll. Essentially, you cannot have had a good year.
No results.
Ooh.
That's about as good as you can get.
Yep.
Do we roll our? I can never remember. Do we roll our individual weather, or does AP roll the weather for all of us?
I roll 3d6 plus 5, right? For the weathering.
Yeah.
My weather roll is an 8. Statistically, it's a little low, actually.
I see a 13.
Well, an 8 plus 5 is indeed a 13.
Ah, okay, yes.
Yep.
So that's a 12 for us, or for me, because I have a -1 to it. And then roll concern my commoners. Yes, yes. Fail.
Now, what was the weather roll?
13.
15 total. Okay.
And that goes in the fate, right?
It goes in the
Yes.
fate column, and then if you go to -1.5 for care, that goes in the care column.
Yeah.
I've never passed with concern my commoners despite having a high value.
Yeah.
Funny, you were more concerned with the people around you that work for you.
Don't forget your -1 for if you have the B.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's the apiary.
Yeah.
And then we roll misfortune.
Yep, and then you roll your stewardship.
Misfortune success. Stewardship success.
I will be right back.
Harvest table. Steward is success. Misfortune success. Regular.
Well, do we have anything to report to the audience at this point? They're salivating to hear about
So
these
I
manners.
went backwards 1.5 Libra this year.
Oh,
Um,
I would like to build an improvement. Or try to, anyway. I'm going to try to build a guest house.
very well.
It's only a fail on a 1, correct?
out of 1, yes, on D20.
Okay. So I succeed in building a guest house.
Nice.
So with your census roll AP, what if we're not eligible for a census roll this time?
It's not the census roll, it's the one before the census roll. The population expansion roll. You automatically.
Yeah, so normally you can't even test that unless you've had 5 years of meager or better.
I'm
since your
saying
last
that
increase.
you absolutely get that free.
Okay, cool. All right.
Automatic success.
All right. Well, then I will spend the 10 Libra to guarantee the population growth then.
You may have noticed a lack of material rewards. West. This is an immaterial reward. Won't be the last one.
Phantasmal.
That is definitely a response to the words I said.
Well, that roll, sorry. Right. So my population has grown. Happy days. What else? How else can we entertain the audience?
Yeah, I don't know. I've gone from medium energy introduction to low energy after all of the nonsense I've done this episode. You know, we're so far off the beaten path of the Great Pendragon campaign because I was like, here's a bunch of custom stuff I wrote this episode that blatantly rips off a bunch of other media.
Is it Crusader Kings?
No. So we did a bunch of Babylon 5 references today. What else did we do? I mean, I don't know that you can rip off the Bible, but technically the entire... I've been planning to drop the parable of the vineyard workers for quite a while, ever since I was like, I'm going to have the Baron have labor camps that's cutting trees. This will come back later as a Bible parable that I'm going to ambush people for. What else? What other references do we make? I mean, Robin Hood Men in Tights. Oh, the audience is excited to see which of your relatives die. Perfect. What a horrifyingly chilling thing to say. Well, look who it is.
Hello. I'm back. All right, so
what is the bonus that happens if your population goes up, James?
So effectively, your base income each year from that point onwards increased by 1. So rather than being 10, it's now 11, for example.
Okay.
So, and do we got an automatic success on that?
So we automatically got the ability to do so the population went up, but we need to do the census roll, which is you need to roll a d20 and you spend gold between 1 to 10 libra to take the census, and the success is twice what you spend. So if you spend 10, it's a 20 there, therefore you automatically succeed.
Gotcha. So we spend 20 to automatically succeed?
Yes.
Spend 10 to automatically succeed.
So I spend 10 to get a 20.
Spend 10, okay.
You get 2 per libra you spend.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Also, I just want to say I'm always
do the
referencing
same.
Crusader Kings on this show. Just basically assume everything I do is influenced by it. What a great game. I've been thinking
In
about
life.
it a lot lately.
You often look at children and think, I probably should murder that child before they get too powerful.
I need you to understand this. I'm powerful enough. I don't need to murder the children. I murder their parents, and then I marry those children to my children, and I bring them into my dynastic line, and then I spread my good dynasty all over the land.
Every adult you murder was a child once.
just wasn't worth responding to that, to be clear. That's why it's been silent. It's not that I didn't have anything to say, it's just that that was such a comment. I'll tell you what I've been thinking about getting into lately is Romance of the Three Kingdoms. I kind of vaguely know about it. I've read plenty of interpretations of the Art of War, and I vaguely know of the general storyline. You know, Cao Cao, Liu Bei, Lu Bu, Zhu Liang, but I've never actually watched any of the Chinese media about it. And then I watched a clip that YouTube recommended me, where the immortal dragon Zhu Liang was talking to Minister Wang, and Minister Wang was like, here's a fucking 4-page essay on why you're a bitch. And Zhu Liang was like, here's my fan. You're old and you suck. And the dude was like, oh, I'm having a heart attack. Blood is gushing out of my mouth. And I was like, wow, he insulted him so badly, he killed him. This is awesome. This is going to happen to me one day. Spoon, let us know when you're caught up. Not rushing you, but
Yeah, I have to go find the chart for what my harvest is like. My misfortune failed and my stewardship succeeded.
interesting.
So I think it's good.
Misfortune fail and stewardship succeeded is good.
Okay.
Page 54 of Book of the Manor.
Like good things.
Yeah, I succeeded, and so did the misfortune, but this misfortune succeeded better, so I took Mega for that reason. So I'm done with the manorial stuff now. So it's just
I
onto
am
the other.
also done with the manorial stuff.
I am now also done with the manorial stuff.
Cool. Each of you is receiving an offer from the Countess Ellen. She wishes to honor your family lines for your commitment to helping her allies in Ridichan, and would like to, if you want to, you may promote a member of your family to join the Progress Knight Corps. So these are the people that basically defend the Countess, and eventually they will defend kid's name Robert.
Robert, yes.
Yes, they will defend the child when he is old enough. Whenever he goes around on his basically half-year loop around the county collecting taxes and living at people's manors. So, I mean, if you have an uncle that you feel like is, for roleplay reasons, you need to get rid of, promote laterally, that sort of thing, you know, to an office where they will cause you less problems. That's one way to do it. You could also see it as a literal good promotion to a progress knight if they don't like have a house independently. It's a pretty good deal to travel with your lord. You get good pay and good food all the time. You don't have to accept it, but it is an honor to your house to be offered this. Just being offered it is considered a good thing. Would any of you like to accept that offer and basically sell a member of your family to the noble line?
I mean, I think in character I would. I just got to find the right person.
There's the GrimDarkJames.
Yes. I will also do so. I already have one, actually. And then I will add a second.
Two
I'm gonna
members of the
remove-
Progress Knight Corps? Now we've got the beginnings of a conspiracy here. In Crusader Kings 3, that would be more than enough infiltrators in the court to assist you in any plots.
For sure.
You don't even need to bribe them. You can just use your strong hook.
Assign Sir Selwyn de Pitton.
Kyned will ask Mifi if she would like that honor.
She would be honored to have that honor.
And Mifi will become a progress knight.
How progressive. It's been a big year for Mifi, honestly.
Exactly.
It has
That's why Kyned was going to offer it was because of how well she performed this year, and he wants to recognize that.
As they say, game recognized game. She
Yeah,
had a
just
shot for
logging-
the title, and she took it.
Just logging into my family record so I can see who I'm going to take.
James's intricate RP plots playing out right now. There's really two types of Crusader Kings 3 players. People who play roleplay wise and people who play like me and Spoon, where they sociopathically control a network of breeding breeding vessels to spread your influence wide. What's the name of that? The Austrian Habsburgs?
The
To
Habsburgs, yeah.
Habsburgs, Europe, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sending my cousin Iltud.
Wow, I've never even heard that name. Cool.
Yeah. ILLTUD.
Well, they're now a progress knight. What an honorable job. No adventuring for them. It's a life of living at court for 180 days.
So should we also reduce our
Available
knights?
knighthoods?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. However, as a result, all of your houses that have contributed you may take an extra 20 glory a year so long as that person is still alive.
Oh.
To represent your special appointment. You can call it special appointment to progress knight. This is what the Countess can afford to give you right now, since she can't give you material rewards.
So is it so would I get 120 for each?
No, just for this special.
Just for this one? Okay.
So the previous progress knight that you have, that was regular appointment. That was because she was in desperate need of them. This is a special appointment to recognize
Gotcha. Okay.
your contributions during what they would call the Ridichan campaign. What later historians would call the First Battle of Ridichan. Indeed, when that guy came out of the forest 20 years later, the Second Battle of Ridichan began.
And that was 20 glory per year as long as they're alive?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. How are each of you living this year? Ordinary, rich, superlative.
Living fat.
Is that superlative?
Yep.
Okay, because that means I'm always living superlative. So it's good to know.
Rich.
Okay.
Let's see. I think I'm also living superlatively.
Very well. We are doing stable roles, family roles. Nobody here can get married because you're already married. Childbirth, child survival, and then family events. With the superlative rules from Great Pendragon campaign. So, of course, even with the bonuses, child survival is not automatically guaranteed. Can fail on a 1.
Yeah.
Rich is -1 to child survival. Is that correct?
Rich
Or
is
plus-
a
sorry,
+1 to survival and a +3 to childbirth.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. How many kids do I have?
No deaths. 2 of my kids were sick.
It's everyone under 16, right?
15. Everyone under 15.
Okay,
So
then.
anyone who makes it to 15 survives. For now.
Then Elfin it does not have to roll for this year.
Also, was anyone aiming to have new kids?
No, I've got enough. I have 6 living children right now for Gwgan. He's got enough.
This is not Crusader Kings 3 behavior right here. Everyone knows you have to convert to the Irish version of Christianity so you can have 3 extra lovers and a wife. And then when she's too old for childbirth, you kill her and get a new wife. If you're not having 4 kids a year, are you really crusading as a king?
All right, 3 sick kids, but everyone survives.
Cool. D20 rolls for family events, and on a 1 or a 2, it's a
I'm
death.
I am gonna try for children.
Sheesh.
It's D20 plus 3.
No, Kendric, I see a 1.
Yep.
That's
Let's see here.
5, no kids.
6.
20, scandalous rumor.
Yes, please roll
I will
another D20.
attempt. I'm going to take a aging roll so that I do not lose
Very well.
Luella.
Protecting your children with the power of your life.
Yep. That's a 5.
Very
That
well, Glimo.
is
There's a
an
rumor
app.
that someone in your family is a kidnapper. Please roll another D20. The slander that your mother is a kidnapper?
Well, my mother's dead, so
So roll another D20.
I mean, I suppose she could have been before she
Your father is a kidnapper.
also dead.
The rumor is that your mother and father kidnapped someone before they die.
Sorry, no, that was the father role was James's.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Your
20
cousin.
Wow, let's just make it Meefy, you know? Everything's coming up. Meefy the kidnapper, you know? And now she's got to fight it out in court now that she's been assigned there. Suddenly thrust to a higher level. I mean, you don't have to make it Meefy, but
You know what?
Hayden-
Let's make it fun since she married out of the family.
wow.
Hayden has a daughter with his wife.
With his wife, is that he married Yennefer of Lopez, right?
No,
Hayden
his
did
wife-
not know.
Oh, not
No,
Hayden.
Iblis is his wife's name.
Oh, okay,
he already had a bastard child, but now he has a legitimate child.
Yeah, we love legitimate children.
Well, and he also legitimized his bastard.
Yeah, we love legitimizing bastards, just like Jon Stark. Never mind, that one's not very funny. What do you got for rumors?
Uh,
I didn't. I rolled birth in the family.
Oh, birth
Not
of
rumors.
family. Yes.
and I got no event.
That's so boring.
I know.
At some point, we need to get is true necromancer. It'll happen at some point. It just requires a 20, a 20, and a 19 all on one,
Well, I mean,
one go.
I think it's really kind of foolish that the chances of other births happening in your family are only 8 through 12.
Okay.
Like I have more kids than basically the rest of my family combined.
Yes, but you're the most important character in your family.
Yes.
Now, I know I like to talk about Crusader Kings 3, but this isn't Crusader Kings 3, and we aren't tracking all branches of your family at once. All right, training and practice. Who's picking what?
I'm
Now
gonna
that-
take sword to 20.
Oh, that's a solid. Now you can't fail. Sword is always a solid pick because if you're sorting, you can't be disarmed because that's what swords do.
I feel like after this year with all the crazy fights that he was in, I feel like that's pretty thematic for Kyned.
Taking the 1d6 plus 1 again.
Nice.
Yeah, I let's see. Hmm.
I've taken stewardship and recognized both to 5.
Yeah, I think I am also gonna take. Um, do I bump my sword to a 19 or do I take a 1d6 plus 1? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna. Because I think I can do this, right? Oh no, that's yeah. I'm gonna improve my just back up to 16.
Yeah. Kendric the Just. So non-arbitrary. Very well. Compute your glory. I handed out a bunch of glory this year, so, you know. Anyone got any big glories that they need to shout out about? Any passing of the 1000s?
I have passed the one. I'm now at 3,061.
Sweet. What are you gonna put your sick attribute score in?
I'm gonna ask my friends here.
You
So
could
I
raise
lost.
your sword to 21.
So I lost con this year because of aging, but it is not my lowest stat. Would you, if it was you, would you put the point back in con because, you know, hit points, or raise? And my con's a 14, and my dex and appearance are both 12, so it's not like there's miles of difference between them.
Well, appearance has no effect on any derived stats. Dex is relevant for staying standing when you're hit in combat. And con sets your hit points and your major wound threshold. So if your power game move, I think it will be con.
Was kind of where I was leaning. The only reason I was looking at one of the lower stats is I am aging every year, and eventually stat loss will kill me.
Yep, that's how it works for all of us.
Yeah.
For most people, the stat they lose is amount of blood in their body becomes 0.
All right, I will take my con back to 15.
Audience
And
is saying raise your appearance to become the Silver Fox. Very well. The last thing that will happen before we end the end of this year, Sir Kyned, you receive a Bible written in the Irish language. It is signed by apostles of St. Patrick who have settled onto the Isle of Man. And they have also sent you a Manx cat, which are native to the island, which the recent missionaries have started breeding. So these are this Manx cat that they send you has no tail and truly mystifies all around you, who are like, oh, a witch must have made it. Incredible response from Sir Kyned.
I'm sorry, and this is from my friend Marquis.
Yes, this is from the agent of the Marquis Rister Chiarak of Pomitain. Yep.
Okay. Well, Kyned will send proper thank yous to the Marquis, and
I would point out that because you barely read English, a Bible in Irish is just as incomprehensible to you.
yes.
It's a very fancy Bible, though. You know, it's one of those comically large ones that you get people as gifts or for ceremonial purposes.
Yeah, I mean, Kyned understands that this is like a super nice thing. Doesn't have a whole lot of use for it, but he'll put it in his in his sitting room to look
It's in your
important.
court artifacts area in your mansion, so that you can get +1 piety every year. We keep bringing it back to Crusader Kings 3 now.
Actually, he'll probably put it in his new guest house that he just built.
So everyone can know how cultured you are to have a large Bible written in Irish just for guests.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back for the final part of the show, where we start the year 500. It was a good year. Some would say it's a great year.
We didn't have a century party, like a
no,
big
because
sort of
the century doesn't start until year 501. James, I had this discussion in the year 2000 and on the year 2001.
Everyone disagrees. Like everybody that partied
I understand
hard,
that's how it works.
Yeah.
I understand that culturally that's how it works, but there was no year 0. So 100 years after year 1 is 101.
Yeah. I'm just saying we're a bunch of passionate knights, not a bunch of mathematicians.
And everyone thinks Jesus is coming back this year.
That is a storyline in this game and also in real life in the year 500. So yes.
Everyone look busy.